Welcome to Ancestral Light. Today we will look at 3 takeaways from the life and impact of Frederick Douglass. I'm Dr. J. David Taylor. Let's get started. Born into bondage, Douglass risked life and punishment to secretly teach himself to read. When his master forbade teaching Douglass literacy, stating that learning would spoil the best nigger in the world, it ignited Douglass' lifelong understanding that education is power. See, literacy became Douglass' sword and his shield. It opened his mind, connected him to his abolitionist thoughts, and gave him the tools to argue for Black humanity. See, Frederick Douglass taught us that learning to read and write is not only an act of personal empowerment, it is a revolutionary act of resistance against systemic oppression. See, why does this matter today? Well, for Black youth navigating unfunded schools and digital inequity, Douglass' journey affirms that to read is to rise. Every book opened is a door unlocked. Every story written is a chain broken. Frederick Douglass believed that once you learn to read, you will be forever free. Frederick Douglass rose to international fame without ever shrinking his identity. Even as white abolitionists urged him to soften his language, Douglass refused. He spoke of slavery's horrors with truth, but he spoke of Black brilliance with fire. See, his July 5th, 1852 address, What to the slave is the 4th of July, remains one of the most powerful indictments of American hypocrisy. See, what do we take away from that? Douglass was not just an orator, he was a force. His voice cracked the silence of slavery, demanded justice in white spaces, and galvanized abolition and women's suffrage alike. Modern historians assert that Douglass' speeches reshaped public sentiment and political will in both the North and in Europe. So why does this matter today? In an era where Black voices are still silenced, misquoted, or co-opted, Douglass reminds us that your voice is sacred, your truth is weaponized, and your silence is complicity. From social media to City Hall, we must speak. What do we take away from that? That Douglass redefined what was possible for a Black man in America. He was an escaped slave. He was a best-selling author. He was a presidential advisor. He was a U.S. Marshal. He was a minister to Haiti. He was an advocate for women's rights. Douglass was the first African-American nominated for vice president without his consent and held multiple federal appointments while never forgetting his enslaved roots. His life showed that Blackness is not a limitation, it is a launch pad. In a racist society structured to reduce him, he multiplied. See, he mastered politics, he mastered diplomacy, he mastered publishing and organizing. Historian Celeste Marie Brunier argues that Douglass's very existence exposed white supremacy as a lie. See, why does this matter today? Because Douglass teaches us that no matter the system, the narrative, or the odds, you can rise, redefine your role, and become what no one thought possible. See, Frederick Douglass was born without a name, without a birthday, without a single right under heaven. But by the time he died, kings knew his name, presidents sought his counsel, and the world had changed because he dared to pick up a book. He dared to speak his truth, and he dared to walk towards freedom. I want to talk to every young Black soul who's been told they're too loud, too angry, too ambitious, because Frederick Douglass was all those things, and he changed the world because of it. Douglass used his powerful voice to speak truth with power, never diminishing his message to appease his audience. His righteous indignation fueled his advocacy and gave moral clarity to the abolitionist movement. Douglass's ambition drove him from slavery to the highest levels of government and international diplomacy. Today, we are told that systemic racism is too big, that our communities are too broken, and that change is too slow. Well, we are told that our voices are not professional enough, our dreams too radical, and our grief too loud. We are taught to shrink. But I ask you, what if the real problem is not our fire, but our fear to let it burn? So what if we remember Douglass not just as history, but as a strategy? See, Douglass didn't wait for permission. He didn't beg to belong. He took back his mind with literacy, changed his destiny with his speech, and challenged a nation with nothing but truth and fire. See, Douglass didn't just escape slavery, my friend. He turned his pain into a platform. He took a body that was once property and transformed it into a vessel of prophecy. He showed us that we do not come from brokenness. We come from brilliance interrupted. So I dare you to pick up a book and read until your soul is awakened, to speak even when your voice trembles, to build even when you're told nothing can grow. Because every time you write your truth, every time you speak your dream, or every time you teach a child to think freely, you are continuing the revolution Frederick Douglass began. We are not what they made us to be. We are what Douglass dreamed we could be. Don't let Douglass's life be a chapter that you study, but let it be a mirror that you live by. See, you need to read like your freedom depends on it. Speak like your ancestors are listening, and live like you're writing a future worth fighting for. See, the time is not tomorrow, my friend. The time is now. Your voice is waiting. Your vision is valid, and your victory is coming. So let us walk in Douglass's footsteps, not as shadows of his greatness, but as a proof that his fight was not in vain. Well, our time is up for today. I'm Dr. J. David Taylor, and I will see you next time.